Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. And I was privileged today to meet and spend some time with some great folks and have some good conversations and a great late lunch, early dinner, whatever you call it. My son Roman was not satisfied that that would be our dinner. So we ate there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that, at a Mexican restaurant, which was very good. And then we went to the mall, and then we had dinner after that. But I got to get quite a few books signed by Robert McCammon again, and listen to some great stories, great Q&A, and even a song that he wrote and asked the audience to participate in. The song does have some spoilers to the last Matthew Corbett book, Leviathan. I reckon it's spoilers that Robert McCammon thinks people ought to hear. So I'll be warned about that. Just slight stuff. But some people would consider it spoilers, I guess. Doesn't tell the plot, but he tells you some facts. But anyway, we had a great time, and here's some of the events as it went down. And then I'll show you, stay tuned, some of the stuff that I got signed, if you care.
We're off to Birmingham, Alabama Booksmith. Here we come. Today we're going to the Booksmith, Alabama to get our book signed by Robert McCammon, and this one's excited.
I asked Chapter, bring the Matthew books. It's been a great run, but this is it. And it is not.
I'm not dead yet.
But eulogy is for Matthew. And this is the reason all of you have come from all over North America. Here is Mr. Robert McCammon.
Well, thank you for being here. It's so good for you guys to be here on a nice sunny cold day. And I'm going to ask you to do something, if you will, for me. Can you do this? Hi, hi, ho.
Hi, hi, ho.
One more time. Hi, hi, ho.
Hi, hi, ho.
So when I do that, will you do that, please? Okay. Because I am here to sing the song of that which we have waited for so long. We have come to rejoice and to regale, because at long last Leviathan is on sale. Yeah, you know our Matthew is a noble lad. I will tell you he survives. I hope you're glad. Though many others turned up dead, it's all in the pages to be read. We must consider Mary, Matthew's one love true. Though it took a while for him to realize they should be two. She is as beautiful as you might think. Though walking at her side, you might wind up in the drink. Some say that Hudson Greathouse is a roughneck lout, but he was always there to help Matthew out. He bears a scar through an eyebrow from a teacup you see, but not the teacup that's on TV. About the man who never did what he oughter. That devil of a fiend named Tyrantha Slaughter. He's the kind of guy who would give his mom a punch. And we all know he had his dad for lunch. No Cardinal Black, that satanic sop. All his evil plans came to a flop. I will tell you that he meets his end, very much taller and very much thinned. And what of the man one loves to hate? What will be Professor Fell's fate? That I can't reveal, though I know some hope that he does not skip the judgment rope. I thank you, readers, for your loyalty. I hope Matthew remains in your memory. I repeat, we are here to rejoice and to regale, because at long last, Long last, Leviathan is on sale.
I finished Leviathan last night.
Okay. Oh, you finished it? Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh, I see. You finished it. All right.
but it blew my mind. I was so afraid of that book that she was going to ruin it, honestly. Because it's serious. Yeah, but it's really
Good. I'm glad. Well, you know, I kind of left that open if I wanted something. I left it open if I wanted to. I'm not sure. So you enjoyed the book? Just slow it down. Good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I should have known better, but I've never read a series of these before. Never read the last book of a series before.
Oh, really? Well, see that it's important to do the last book well, you know, because you got to do the last book well.
I started getting asked about years in the
Are you?
Good.
That's Roman.
Yeah, we met. There you go. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Where, are you from here or where are you from?
I got a place in Fort Payne. I live in. I just finished at the mall, which was a deal I had to cut with my kid to go with me to the Robert McCammon show. Every year when we come here, I have to take him to the mall in Birmingham. It's a big fancy mall. But I'm doing this little portion here to test my voice. See, I haven't had a voice for 5 days. Today it started coming back, and my son just told me, we got in the car after the mall, he said, "Hey, it's back." And I said, it doesn't feel right. Still feels all messed up to me. It doesn't sound right out of my ears. So I'm doing this video, actually, honestly, just to see what my voice sounds like. That's all. Anyway, when the voice is good enough, if it isn't already, I'll show you what Robert McCammon was kind enough to sign for me. Now, this is the third time that I've got to meet Robert McCammon at the Alabama Booksmith in Birmingham, Alabama, for a book launch party. Not to brag, I'm not bragging, but I've gotten every time a lot of books signed. And each time when I left there, I didn't have any more Robert McCammon books to get signed. So that's a year to acquire things to get signed by him. And it was the same thing last year from the 7 Shades of Evil book launch event. I got them all signed between last October and now in December of 2024. I did acquire some things in different ways. But anyway, I'll go ahead and show you some of the stuff. First of all, this I didn't get signed. This one I bought there. Hunter Goatley, after I got through getting autographs, he was showing some of the things he picked up. And he explained that Tor had this copy of this book, a trade softcover version of the 5, slightly bigger than a mass market paperback. And he said they had it for sale, available for $40. And then later he found out that they had a more economically priced version of this. And he pulled it out and showed it to a couple of us. And I found out they still had some available. So I went to the desk and I bought this one. But it is a trade/mass market paperback. It's not much bigger than the good old classic mass market paperback size book. So it's kind of an in-between, I guess. And the published price is, I don't know. Let's see, I can't remember what I paid for it. What did I pay for it? $16.99 was what they were selling it for at the Alabama Booksmith. Signed by Robert McCammon in a ballpoint pen, no less. So that was one that I picked up there. It was already signed, so I didn't ask Robert to sign it. Can't take the heat for that. But I did I got him to sign 11 books for me. I brought with me 15. One I already gotten signed. It was a first edition trade hardcover of Gone South. And I found somebody that was interested, actually, Mr. Hawk, Jeff Terry's brother-in-law, Mr. Hawk. Great last name. Anyway, he didn't have it, so he took that and got it signed. But I had the 3 other books that I didn't get signed. They were collections. And I felt like I was being too greedy with what I had already. So I left them in the car. But anyway, I got this mass market paperback version of Mystery Walk signed. I like the cover. He had some great covers over the years. But he signed that one for me there. This one I think is a 3rd print. It is, it's a 3rd printing. And the covers changed on these pocketbooks editions. The covers changed at different times. But I had that one, and I got it signed. I also got this Avon Books version of Bale, as Robert McCammon would call it. And it has sprayed edges, kind of neat. It is a first print. It doesn't mention other printings. First Avon printing, August 1978. And he signed that one for me there. Bale, it's his first novel, and I haven't read it. I need to read it. But anyway, there's that one. And then another mass market paperback version. The only version I was able to pick up in time ended up having a small section missing on the cover. But one of my favorite covers of a McCammon book, not only the first edition trade hardcover had a great cover, but this one is also awesome. And I wanted one. I got this one cheap. The cover was slightly damaged, but I figured it was good enough for me. He signed that one there as well. And this one is First Ballantine Books edition, October 1985. No other printings mentioned there. So moving on. I'll save my favorites for last, I guess. But I was at a used bookstore sometime this year, and they had all of these books in their used section, except for this one. King of Shadows wasn't there. So they had these 4 in their used section. And I already had signed advanced review copies of the trade soft covers of all of them up to this point. But I needed reader copies, so they had them cheap, and I bought them. And then once I read them, I realized, hey, I was a responsible reader. I took very good care of these books. They still look new. I might as well get them signed. So I did. I got each one. Providence Writer. These are the Lividian publications, trade size soft covers, true trade size soft covers by Lividian Publications. And Robert signed each one for me. That one is the Providence Writer. I love the artwork. The artwork for all of these is Vincent Chong. Does a great job on each one. A great job of spelling it out, what these characters look like, and bringing them to life. And what else? There we go. The River of Souls, another great cover. And these are books that the actual books that I read. And there is Robert McCammon's signature there. Another Lividian Publications trade soft cover. Getting confused. And then there we are, Freedom of the Mask. And Lividian Publications again. Signed by Robert McCammon. Makes them great. The Robert McCammon collection is getting fat. It's getting fat. And then there is Cardinal Black. One of my maybe 3 or 4 favorites in the series. Probably my third favorite, I'd say, Cardinal Black. And I do like the cover, the characters, again, how they're spelled out for you. He really did a great job of showing us what these folks look like based on their descriptions. And then finally, this one I actually bought on Amazon. So it wasn't a used one that I bought at the store. King of Shadows. I needed to read this one. Getting ready. And a great book. King of Shadows did a great job of going back and telling the backstory of several of the villains, several of the characters in general. I think four backstories. Did a great job of it. Some of the villains, to show you how villains can become villains. Not always are they born that way. Sometimes events, people are the cause or the catalyst that creates a villain or unleashes the monster within. So what else? I got a few others to fill some voids for me. I was luckily enough to be able to get the limited edition version from Subterranean Press of Mr. Slaughter. For some reason, the most expensive book of the whole set. But this is a simple first edition, first print, trade hardcover copy of Mr. Slaughter. And the first print will say first edition on it. The second print and third, I think there's 3, maybe more, but they'll say third printing on there. Or the first print will just say first edition. And so I got this book at a decent price on eBay at one point, and now it's a signed version. So I have all of the limited editions except Leviathan, which isn't out yet. I'll have it when it comes out. And I'm slowly working on putting together the trade editions. Some of the trade editions will be slightly different than the limiteds, and some are the same. The way I attacked it in the beginning was, I figure if a trade edition is no different than a limited, other than being, if the cover is the same, I'm not going to have a trade edition as well as a limited. I'll just get the limited. But when Lividian Publications took over the Matthew Corbett series, or Robert McCammon's publishing in general, Brian James Freeman does something different. He'll often make a different dust jacket artwork for the trade compared to the limited. Smart. Now he knows that some collectors will have to have both. And I've fallen into that camp. And if I'm going to have both on some of them, why not have both on all of them? So that's the way it goes. What else? Now, that was the first edition, first print hardcover. But I did acquire also the ARC, the advanced uncorrected proof or advanced reader copy of the Subterranean Press edition of Mr. Slaughter. So Brian James Freeman at Lividian published a trade paperback of this book later on. And I also have the ARC for that one, but this is the ARC for the original. And I was able to get that one at a price I could live with. And there it is. Now it is a signed ARC of Mr. Slaughter. So very pleased to be able to get that one and add it to the collection as well. And then I showed a video where I did a video where I showed getting this ARC in the mail. Bought it on eBay, I think. And it's a very quality, good condition, advanced review copy of the original River City Press ARC of Speech to Nightbird, the very first book in the Matthew Corbett series. And I say probably my favorite Robert McCammon book. It might not be the best, I don't know, but I think it's my favorite. It's the one that I loved the most reading it, the one I felt most at home in. And anyway, I just love the story. I loved it from start to finish. It's probably my favorite McCammon book. And so I was really pleased to be able to get this ARC, excellent condition, at a price I could live with. And then again, to be able to get Robert McCammon to sign it for me in person is a true delight and an important part of my book collection in general, regardless of author, regardless of type of collection or genre. That's an important one for me. And then also, the last thing I'll show you here. At the Alabama Booksmith Robert McCammon events, they ask if you buy whatever book he's launching, you can get a signed copy. The signatures are free, but you buy the book from them, and then you can get a ticket to the pre-signing show. Essentially an hour with Robert McCammon in a relatively small room, not much bigger than the living room of the hotel that I'm at. And he spends an hour, about 30 minutes or so, going over his own stuff. And in this case, he had a little song and asked for our audience participation. And then he talked a little bit about the Matthew Corbett adventure for him. Talked about some of the characters and some of the thoughts, things he has in mind, perhaps in the future, but how they spoke to him. Kind of goes through a little bit about his whole process of telling the story. And then around 30 minutes for a Q&A for the audience. And just like most Q&As, when he asks for questions, people kind of sit and wait. Somebody speaks up, and then all of a sudden, everybody's got their hand up after that. Everybody's got something they want to talk about or a question. And there's all sorts of really good stuff in those Q&As. The answers, the information, the laughs. It's a whole lot of fun. So an hour to be able to listen and in some cases talk and ask questions to one of the greatest fiction authors who ever walked God's green earth. One of them. I don't think there's any disputing that. One of the all-time greats. And so it was a real pleasure. And since I brought my youngest son with me, I bought 2 books so I could have 2 tickets. And he decided that in order to be able to leave earlier, because he wanted to go to the mall, there's a fancy mall in Birmingham. In order for us to be able to leave earlier, it would be better if we got the autographs, if we got front of the line with the autograph session afterwards. So people lined up downstairs. There were people lined up about an hour and a half before waiting. So my son, we got there about an hour and a half early. He said, I'm gonna go get a spot in line. You talk to your friends, you go to the event upstairs, I'm waiting down here. There was already people in line. So he stuck to his guns. He held his spot in line. When I got done with the event, I went to the car, got the books, brought them back, got all my stuff signed first. But what my son did not know was that I had already made plans to go to dinner with some folks. Mike Hughes and his wife, Jeff Terry and his brother-in-law, Tom Finnegan and his wife. So we ended up waiting around still for a while for some of those folks to get through the line. And I chatted with a variety of people, some really good folks. Tony Thomas, Hunter Goatley. I talked with quite a few people there, some that I didn't know, some that didn't know me. But anyway, a lot of good people, did a little shopping. And I went to the Little Donkey or something like that, a Mexican restaurant right down the road. It's a good place. And then we finally got to go to the mall. So it was a great time. I don't know if I showed you this. This is the trade edition hardcover from Lividian Publications of the last Matthew Corbett book, Leviathan. And I finished it yesterday. It was available on Kindle. I jumped on it. I wanted to get it read before the event. And down to the wire, I finished it. And a fabulous book. I don't want to give any spoilers for this, but I'll tell you, I was afraid to read this book because so many authors have blown it. A series at the end, when they finish it up, they blew it. And I was afraid. I'd never read a long series by Robert McCammon because he'd never written one. I didn't know how he was going to be able to finish it. But I should have trusted the man. The finish is outstanding, fabulous. their lights come on. Great. I strongly recommend it. And when you're done, let's talk about it, because I've got a lot of questions. It's not questions as in untied ends, so to speak, but it's more about possibilities and things like that. And some names that pop up as well. Questions. But anyway, the artwork on here, I don't know if the limited is going to be as beautiful as the artwork on the front of this trade softcover or trade edition hardcover. I don't see how it could be better. This looks so great. Lividian Publications does such a great job with their trade editions as well as their limited editions. And then here are some of our most beloved characters in the Matthew Corbett series. And man, they just come to life here. Character work and photography by Amanda Chapman. So Vincent Chong did the illustrations for the book and the dust jacket front cover. But that picture on the back just is excellent. I really liked it. And his trade edition hardcover books are quality stuff. A type of cloth bound book, a Smith sewn binding. I mean, there's limited edition publishers out there right now that have glued bindings for $100 books, $125 books, $150 books. This right here is a trade hardcover. What was the price on it? It was $35 bucks for this trade edition hardcover. High quality book. It's like a limited, but it's the trade, quote, end quote. The interior illustrations are reserved for the numbered edition, so this is not an illustrated version. But a few things about it. Not only did I get this little card they had available, I didn't steal it. They said take one for the event, so I could tuck it in my book forever and ever, to remind myself of where the book came from. But also my name tag. They gave me 2 name tags. Said put this on your shirt and you can go upstairs. I kept those name tags stuck to my finger and went upstairs. I'm a rule breaker, an outlaw. I was born that way. But anyway, I stuck the sticker on the front there. So once again, I'll always have it. And then yes, indeed, signed by Robert McCammon, in the proper spot. You know, it would stand to reason, as many books as he's signed over the course of his life, he'd know where to sign them, and he does. And this is a first edition, first print. The number line goes all the way down to 1. And there it is. Leviathan's a fabulous book. Robert McCammon's a fabulous dude. And the event was a great time by the Alabama Booksmith. And I got to meet again some great people, some folks that I've corresponded with online, feel like I know and have a relationship with. Well, now I've actually met some of these folks, shook the hands, sat beside them, broke bread with some of these folks. So it's like we're family now. Just call before you come over, okay? I love you, but I tend to be a lot more receptive when I know somebody's coming. So we're family, but I still expect my family to call before they show up. Then I'll greet you with a smile. Anyway, had a great time. Thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. I hope the next time they do one of these book launch events, because he's working on another book. It's not a Matthew Corbett book, but he did give us a little bit of insight into what he's working on, and it's exciting. Some more familiar characters we can expect to read about again. Not for the Matthew Corbett world, maybe, I don't know, but what he's working on are other characters that we're familiar with. Anyway, I can think of no more lies to tell, so c'est la vie, baby. Doo-doo.
What game should I do?
Ninja Turtles.
Alright.